Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. I hope everyone's enjoying their work week. I have a couple things I definitely want to talk about regarding the Philadelphia Eagles. We're less than a month away from Eagles training camp. So definitely a few things I definitely want to go over. Really a breakout candidate for this year for the Eagles. I think this season is going to be his year and really going to take off even more. And obviously with some news on Brandon Graham as well. So we kind of want to go over both of that. So let's get straight into it all.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope having a great day today. Now, some news I want to talk about. Brandon Graham obviously was interviewed, and kind of, we want to see what what is Brandon Graham going to do this year for the Philadelphia Eagles? Actually, obviously a really good year last year, having 11 sacks, first double-digit sack season for him, late in his career. I mean, at 30, he was probably 33 at the time. He's 34 now. I didn't expect him to have the season that he had last year, and obviously coming off that Achilles injury was just, most guys at an older age, coming off an Achilles injury don't really have seasons like this. Obviously, defensive line was very good as a whole, but Brandon Graham did a fantastic job. I mean, really, a late bloomer in his career, in some aspects of, he was statistically was never really respected. He didn't really have the sack numbers for a long time. Pressures and hurries. He was very, he always had pressures and hurries, always made the quarterback move, and that's where his statistics really came out. But like I said, the sack numbers weren't there for a long time. Really going through his career, from 2010 to 2021, Brandon Graham, I think, averaged a sack every 99 and a half snaps. Last year, every 43 snaps he averaged a sack, which is just amazing in what he did last year. So that was really cool, and I think really a better year for Brandon Graham this year. More firepower to your defensive line, and signed another one-year deal with the Eagles this year. Came back. Now, he did say that he wants to stay for another 2 years with the Philadelphia Eagles, so he wants to play 15 years in the league. So he's at 13 years now. I think 2 more years is 15. And to see what he does, and I think it's I think it's gonna just go by just statistically what he does. Even if he has only 8 sacks for the year, I won't really be upset about it at all. He's still a very productive player at his age, in really good shape, and has been here a long time. So I feel like there's a lot of good things that are really going to come out of this for Brandon Graham, and I think the one thing you lose with Brandon Graham if he's not on this team is the excitement of voice. I mean, the guy is a trash talker 24/7 on the field, which is great. He's just the embodiment of Philadelphia. It's just what it is. You definitely lose a heartbeat on that defensive line, from a character, kind of, exciting standpoint, when he's just somewhat of a voice there, and it's just something you just can't miss. When you're playing, on that defensive line, it's probably one of the most exciting things to have Brandon Graham on your football team, because he's just he's just very positive, and he's fun to be around. And I think that just brings more excitement to playing with him on that defensive line, or just being a part of that defense in general with him. So, I feel like a good season, a double sack season would be great for him. But we'll see. I'm not really looking at numbers too much. As long as he gets pressures and helps the guy next to him and does a good job. I would probably think, as of right now, he's probably going to line up on maybe Jordan Davis's side. I think he does. So I think, the success he had last year was just, I was not expecting that. And, I don't think he wants to play for another team. Even coming back to the Eagles this year on what was it, $5 million for the year? He just couldn't picture himself playing somewhere else. He just couldn't do it. And obviously this was, going into the free agent process, that he doesn't like to do. He feels he's just out of sorts, going to a new team, new players, and you have to move. And, Philadelphia has been a part of his life ever since he was drafted, from 2010. So, I feel like good things are coming from Brandon Graham. And I think he'll be here for another couple of years. I don't see why not. If they give him these 1-year deals, and, he's is going to willing to take obviously a little bit of a pay cut and just a small little, $5 million deal, $4 million deal with incentives involved or something like that. That's what they want to do. I think that'd be good for him. I think it's good for us too. So obviously a big strength on our defensive line is Brandon Graham. There's no doubt about it. Secondly, I want to go over Devonte Smith. Devonte Smith is interesting. And I've with almost 1,200 yards last year. I mean, Devonte Smith hasn't even been unleashed yet. We haven't even seen Devonte Smith's top potential. Hasn't even reached his ceiling yet, okay? Really, at the beginning of the season last year, we were kind of looking at Devonte Smith. We traded for A.J. Brown during the draft. It was awesome. So you had two bona fide number one receivers, okay? Now, with Devonte Smith, I felt like they underutilized him earlier in the season. Not like underutilized, but they didn't really attack with Devonte Smith with A.J. Brown. I think it was usually the out routes, the slant passes, screen passes, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, they did little things with him, and it just wasn't enough. Like, he's an explosive player. This guy's a Heisman Trophy winner, man. This guy wants to do a lot more than what he's doing right now. So later in the season, I think what really did change and how they really complimented Devonte Smith was, I think, when Dallas Goedert ended up getting hurt, they decided to do a little bit more with Devonte Smith. They started attacking him downfield, and that's when things really started to get cooking. So I feel like as of right now, I think Devonte Smith will have the most yards on this team as a receiver. He'll be the top receiver on this team in yards. I think A.J. Brown will be the top receiver for catches. And I think Devonte Smith only averaged 12 yards, I think 12 yards a reception, something like that. I think that number can go way higher. I think he can get to 15, 16. I mean, I'm not even kidding. I think he can have over 1,300 yards, probably close to 1,400. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even being biased about it. I mean, at this point, Devonte Smith is becoming, for in my opinion, I think he's a top 5 receiver. I think his statistics are just going to go up every single year. I think he's always going to be a 1,000-yard receiver. His contract's up in a couple years, you know what I mean? So I figure at this point, if you're going to let me choose between A.J. Brown and Devonte Smith staying in Philadelphia, you have that 5th-year option, obviously, so they can always pick that up. But if you wanted to re-sign him, or made the choice between those two, I think Devonte Smith has got to be a Philadelphia Eagle for life because he's your homegrown talent. You always want to sign your homegrown talent, to a long term, for the rest of his career being in Philadelphia. You don't want to get rid of a player like this. Between his sideline catches, his concentration, tracking the football, his speed. When Jalen Hurts extends plays, it's almost like he just gets open all the time. And I think they used him better middle of the season towards the end, rather than the beginning of the season. I thought they just used him a lot better. They started attacking with him, like I said, because of other injuries. Like Zach Pascal started getting more opportunity. They started using double tie-in sets, more Calcaterra, more Jack Stahl, and more Devonte Smith and A.J. Brown really attacking downfield with Dallas Goedert. So, later on in the season when Dallas Goedert came back. So it really did help a lot, and I feel like these statistics are just it's baby food at this point. I feel like there's just so much more. There's so much more Devonte Smith can do, and I hope that Brian Johnson really gets him involved, and I'm praying on it so much. I felt like even like I said, oh yeah, Devonte Smith had a good year, but it felt like it wasn't a good enough year. I felt like he should have done a lot more, but it's not on him. It's obviously play calling. It's obviously how they use him and how he's involved and when he's blocking, when he's not, when he's, I didn't really like the screen pass to Devonte Smith at all. Like I just really wasn't a big fan of it because sometimes it didn't work. And he's got a small body. He's got skinny legs, skinny arms. He's not really hard to take down, but at moments, if you give the ball to him, you get him in open space, Devonte Smith could put on a show. I think he could be one of the top receivers next year in yards after the catch, even though A.J. Brown is very good at that as well. I think that with Devonte Smith, it's unlimited, man. Devonte Smith could have had a better year last year, and he has so much more ceilings. There's so much more to unveil with Devonte Smith as a receiver for this team. I'm waiting for it. And I think next year is going to be, this year is going to be the year in 2023 where he's going to pop off for 1,400 yards. I'm not even kidding. What do you have, 7 touchdowns? I say he's going to have probably 10 touchdowns this year, double-digit touchdowns. I'm not even kidding, man. I think Devonte Smith's going to have, it's going to be crazy. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I know what you guys think about, obviously, Brandon Graham, you know, playing for another 2 years. You know, what have you thought of him so far? Really, even from last year going to this year, do you think he's gonna have the same type of season he did in double-digit sacks, you know, and all that great stuff? And obviously talking about Devonte Smith and how much, you know, who's the breakout candidate for you besides obviously Jalen Hurts is gonna break out, but who's the breakout candidate, wide receiver wise, or anybody really offensively that you think is gonna really pop off, you know, this year? And would like to hear everybody's opinion on it, because I feel like my favorite player in this offense is Devonte Smith. There's no doubt about it, 100%. Hoping to get his Kelly Green jersey. That's what I'm kind of waiting for as well. So I'm pretty pumped. I'm pretty excited about it, and I think it's going to be a great season, as we all know. This roster, I think once we get to training camp in less than a month, we're going to really see things really start firing up a little bit. And if you last this long in this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video as well. You can cover the Eagles every single day. And obviously, once training camp gets here, we're going to have no life for a while. So you guys have a fantastic day. Enjoy your work week. And I'll see you guys on the next one. SHAKESQUAD up, follow us live. Peace out, guys. Peace.